It's a blessed and a great opportunity to come again and to continue part 3 of the 6th plague, HAILE SELASSIE and the League of Nations. This is part 3, going off from part 1 and part 2. Blessed are sons and daughters of my Father. Bless them that bless themselves in Rastafari. Bless them that bless themselves in Kedamawe, HAILE Selassie. Bless his name forevermore. Amen. I bring to you part 3 of the 6th plague, League of Nations. It's revelation time. The voice of Rastafari says, it shall be time no longer. It is time for the trumpet to sound, giving authorization to loose 4 angels bound in great river, Euphrates. Revelation 9 verse 13 speaks of such fullness. HAILE Selassie at the League of Nations spoke about it. The book titled The Vogue of the Prophecy, The Plague of the Nation, spoke all about it. Read page 219 to 263 and it will give you all the fullness thereof of understanding. Long before the United States Embassy was instructed in the Holy Land, the border of the Holy Land, Jerusalem, the book titled The Vogue of the Prophecy, The Plague of the Nation, made reference to such acts. These also page 252 and 253. The era of times regarding the fullness of the prophecy is natural. But tiding out of the east and out of the north shall trouble him, the vile man, refers to the United States of America. He speak on the behalf that he shall go forth with great fury to destroy and to utterly make away many, and he shall plant the tabernacle of his place between the seas, in the glorious holy mountain, yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him. That is taken from Daniel 11. But then, has the fullness of such prophecy been declared already, indicating that USA had planted an office in Jerusalem? It is natural, beloved. This took place in the year December the 6th, 2017, when Donald Trump gave command to shift the capital of Israel to Jerusalem and then moving the embassy of USA to the Holy Land. It is prophecy, my beloved brethren. I say this to all ones and ones, that the prophecy are inevitable and it pronounced the era of times to all elect. Prophecy in itself is the fullness of time that bring I and I to the fullness of the coming of the Messiah. And so as Trump himself has given the command and declared the fullness to place an office in the Holy Land, the prophecy has made itself a full declaration that it's high time. Beloved of Rastafari, it's high time. And the fullness of the 6 plagues is natural. And with the grace from Aesus Coricitus, let us give thanks unto Exhibier. Let's give thanks unto Nagusa Nagas, Ethiopia. Emperor HAILE Selassie, I bless his name. During his fullness, shed his anger upon the League of Nations years ago. Yet the time was appointed, and the time is right. Predetermined words and offset action of the League of Nations made clear the judgment that gave way for the vial poured out by the 6 plagues. These 6 plagues had power to loose the 4 angels which are bound in great Euphrates. And the predetermined word and offset and action of the League of Nations have given His Majesty HAILE Selassie Kedamawe the fullness of strength to pour out his indignation and judgment upon the League of Nations at that time in the year 1936. Natural it is that the action of the League of Nations was committed only to power, as the offset was never to create that balance, but schism of laws to settle the trend of greed and power within the line of those that attain the highest fuel of the economy, meaning they that who are in power and those who seek power. But the monopoly of the League authorized European countries then to claim owners of many African continents, and it is so by virtue of the victors of the respective wars. The greed within the League was just to beset their emotion and bring about the inevitability proposed by the El Olam. The greed between the nation escalated, and inequality becomes the norm as power struggles lead to peace talk that only mention goodwill at one table, but never the intention interpreted by the League at one table. The Rastafari, being sure in all his customary procedures, maintain acts of judgment and explain what will determine the downfall of all persons within the League. I remind you that in the year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a thing was revealed unto Daniel, whose name was then called Belteshazzar. And on the 4th and 20th day of the first month, Daniel was by the side of the great river, which is Hiddekel, otherwise known as the Tigris River. It was said that a man clothed in linen made known the future to Daniel regarding the issue of the League of Nations. On the advice from the El Olam concerning the wayward action and deception and motion around the leagues, Daniel was then summoned by the El Olam. Daniel was then summoned by Exebia to declare the evil deception of the league. The book of Daniel says, and after the league made with him, he shall work deceitfully. The verse goes on to say, and both these kings, which is the north and the south, shall be to do mischief. They shall speak lies at one table, but it shall not prosper, for yet the end shall be at the time appointed. It continues to say that he shall cause them to rule over many, and shall divide the land for gain. Daniel 11. All said and done, his mother HAILE SELASSIE had known diplomatic control, and with great knowledge and understanding on the issue of the covenant laid by the League, he alluded to the purpose of the League and their territorial control. Rastafari is natural and a guide within eminence of man's posterity. Yet the League refuses the advice of the King of Kings, Emperor HAILE Selassie. The League, by the will of greed, set the League in default, as the benefit was not to the Ethiopian king, Emperor HAILE Selassie, Negus Nagas Ethiopia. This default setting of the League led His Majesty to cry out concerning the League and just pattern. And in dispute, he continues to cast his judgment. The League did not listen to the voice that bid for respect for the covenant. And with this, His Majesty repeat the reminder of the covenant. His Majesty gave the full issue regarding the League, what was then the council agreement. His Majesty said in his talk, after analyzing the great issues of the League and their deception, His Majesty, and I quote, "We now demand that the League of Nations should continue its effort to secure respect for the covenant, and that it should decide not to recognize territorial extension or the exercise of an assumed sovereignty resulting from the illegal recourse to armed force and to numerous other violations of international agreements." His Majesty was then pointing to the League and their issues of territorial possession. Whenever there is war, whenever there is a dispute, whenever there is confrontation, territorial was acquired by whosoever was the victor. All beloved, I remind you of the first Italian-Ethiopian War in 1896, where the French were using conceited diplomatic strategy against the League of Nations. At the time, the French decided to keep personal interest between alliance of Italian government and refuses to speak out against the act of aggression on the Ethiopian Emperor Menelik II. The matter was of evidence, as Menelik II turned to France, offering a treaty of alliance. But the French response was to abandon the Emperor's request to secure the Italian approval of the Treaty of Bardo which would secure French control of Tunisia. Virtually alone, on September 17, 1895, Emperor Menelik issued a proclamation of calling up the men of Shua to join his army at Relu. Brethren, beloved, I give declaration that it was the same diplomatic strategy that the French uses in offense to strengthen the Italian and protect its share of the interest in the African continent at the time of the Emperor Haile Selassie. Beloved, these are all issues. These are all the position. These are all powers. These are all the points I'm putting to you regarding the league. That within the league, there is only respective and individual interests. There is no understanding. There is no putting together the justice of the nation or of the world. But any justice has been pursued, it has only the benefit for the individual in the league. Many assemblies and conferences within the league were pursued, but to no avail, as the Ethiopian King Emperor Haile Selassie was on his own to defeat the dragon that day. Kedamawi then realized the offset and intention of the league, and with that he began to throw out his judgment. His Majesty quotes, "I assert that the problem submitted to the Assembly today is a matter of wider one. It is not merely a question of the settlement of the Italian aggression. It is collective security. It is the very existence of the League of Nations. It is the confidence that each state is to place in international treaties. It is the value of promise made to small states that their integrity and their independence shall be respected and ensured. I have heard it asserted that in the adequate sanction already applied have not achieved the objective. But then, at no time and under no circumstances could sanctions that were internationally inadequate, intentionally badly applied, stop an aggressor. This is not a case of the impossibility of stopping the aggressor, but of a refusal to stop the aggressor, the Italian." That is his. I read this quote in this form. We see that Haile Selassie understood the deception and trickeries, regarding to the League of Nations. We see that Haile Selassie understands the deception and trickeries done in the monopoly of the League of Nations. Now they certainly have not the desire to stop the action set out by a certain group within the League. Some high-ranking Italian officials interpret these signals as evidence that Britain would occur cause. But then a man will speak for himself, as they were defender of certain issues at that time against the Italian war against Ethiopia in 12 October 1935. However, due to manipulation and wanton to predetermined sanction, the Leagues of Nations set aside and wait for the atrocities to unfold. Atrocities that were wanting to lay the King of Kings below the belt. But then, I tell you, beloved, Rastafari is powerful in himself. King of Kings, in like the League's action, announced his prophetical speech saying that the League of Nations shall not sit at ease, because it is Ethiopia today, but it will be you, League of Nations, tomorrow. In this day and age, we now see that the throwback is dogs eating dogs, in layman terms. The League's own greed for power sanction and their own fall, and no redress can be determined until all is fulfilled on Babylon. Beloved Rastafari, beloved sons and daughters, we give thanks unto this power. We hold firm that the judgment upon the League of Nations shall pursue, and there's no peace until the fullness of action is declared. The fullness of is also said that it only will achieve a calm after a calm. Jah Rastafari is true in his word. Blessed be his name. Bless them that bless themselves with Rastafari. Bless them that bless themselves in Kedamari Haile Selassie. Bless our sons and daughters in Rastafari. Here we come to the end of part 3, where we shall enter part 4, and we shall declare the other side of the judgment for the League of Nations. Blessed be him, Kedamari Haile Selassie.